Well, just 2 more rounds of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup All-Stars, and well, welcome along to Circuit de la Sarthe in the north of France. My name's Paul Smith. Alongside me is Arjuna Kankapati, and the All-Stars, it's the final time in the RSR, and Arjuna, what a splendid venue for them to give it this final time.
A place that it won in its send-off in a GTE Pro class at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. What better place to say goodbye to this car, to say hello to the future as well next time out. And the All-Stars, I'm sure, are going to enjoy plenty of brawls down the long straightaways here at the Circuit de la Sarthe.
Yeah, of course, not just the Mulsanne straight, but also the run down to Indianapolis and then towards the Porsche curves. Don't forget that long run going into there as well. Let's take a look at the schedule, because it started all the way back in February at Hockenheim in the GT3 Cup car, the 992. Then, when we headed to Circuit of the Americas, we switched over to the Cayman, the 718 Cayman GT4 car for 3 rounds. Now, as you can see, Spa-Francorchamps, the Nürburgring, and now here at Circuit de la Sarthe, we will see the Porsche 911 RSR GTE for the final time in this championship. And then next time out in 2 weeks' time, as you mentioned, it is the Mission R. But Arjuna, we've been looking at this car comparison, and you see how similar this is with the Cup car on the right.
You're also seeing the evolution, a 2017 generation RSR GTE machine designed with a lot more freedom in what the Porsche designers are able to do aerodynamically. It led to that rear diffuser that has become so known and loved. A lot of that carried over though to the 992 generation Cup car that is effectively a mini GT3 machine. You see both sporting a 4-liter flat V6 with just about 500 or so horsepower, similar in terms of weight as well. However, it's all about the performance and how it generates that performance, aerodynamic versus mechanical grip.
Absolutely, as well, the All-Stars here, they are just in qualifying at the moment. They do all have the same setup on, so it's down to the individual driver here. 5 laps for the sprint race, then we get a full grid inversion for the main race, which is 6 laps here today. A long lap around here, and we're looking at lap times at the moment in the 3-minute 47 mark for provisional pole position. But slipstream is going to be so crucial around this track, as is a trimmed out motor car.
No such sort of trim though in qualifying, where the drivers can elect to fight side by side in an open qualifying session if they want, but look at Dan Suzuki electing to try and run by himself. We're heading up into that sequence, the Porsche curve that you mentioned before, and this is the one place that maybe you do want a little bit of downforce around this track, because it's a high speed, high commitment, right then left then right again, that leads you into that final sector of the lap. Look at Dan working the wheel, the focus on his face as he manages the car, not trying to pitch it around too much, and most importantly, right here on the very exit, not trying to run too far out wide and get a slowdown.
Yeah, that is key, is the exit out of the Porsche curves, to not run too far wide, get yourself that slowdown penalty. I think that's going to be something that we maybe touch on throughout the races here, because it's not so much the off tracks and the instant points that get racked up here. It's the corner cuts and the slowdown penalties. But we're getting ready for the start of this race, which means that we'll be able to take you through your starting grid here today. And well, what a grid it is, because on pole position here is Pablo Lopez, shared the front row with Love 46, who's been looking forward to this round of the championship for quite a while. Emery and Quirk on row number 2, with Heike 360 and Stradi on row number 3, as we see the tricolor getting put up in the sky by the French Air Force in there. Borja Zaza and Matt Malone then sharing row number 4 with Dave Cam and Dan Suzuki. Championship leader Casey Kerwin all the way down on the final row of the grid, alongside him Basie Colley, who recently has been getting some driving and track experience with the help of Jimmy Broadbent's team. We're getting ready for the start of this one, and well, getting these drivers set, we've got about what was that, about 40 seconds before the start of this race, Arjuna. What's the key thing for these drivers here today?
It's not a technical track like the Nordschleife, but we're ready to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Drivers set, revs rise, we're green flag racing here. Standing start, it's an awful start from the front row for Love 46, but a tremendous start for Pablo Lopez. Look to the inside though, because you've got Straddy is making some moves. Quirk's trying to go around the outside into the Dunlop chicane for the first time here in this race. Through that chicane, Quirk drifted the car on corner exit there, getting the power down, and then down through the S's here. And this is where we start heading into some of those most famous parts of the truck course. Tête Rouge coming up next. Quick right-hander here, important to carry the speed out this corner and down the first part of the Mulsanne straight, heading towards the Daytona chicane.
That's also Tetra Rouge so important because it's so easy to pick up a slowdown, which on lap number 1 is very, very painful. It's the first time, though, we're going to head into one of these fast chicanes. Want to try and be on the inside in my mind, although with the GTE machine, maybe you can be bold. It's not side-by-side for first and second. It's Noah's Ark, though, for third. Yeah,
it's 2x2 as they head in there. And contact! Contact goes, Straddy goes around, keeps it in a half a decent state and gets back going again. If he can get onto the back of the draft pack, he won't lose out here, but that was definite contact through the Daytona chicane. Down towards the second chicane here, Michelin chicane. And again, late braking into the chicane. Look, a couple of cars just looking, just trying to show the nose, but no moves being shown yet. But Pablo Lopez and Quirk is, well, they're just pulling away at the front a little bit here, Arjuna, in the early going.
Yeah, absolutely, and for Pablo, for someone that joined us relatively late on in the running, he's already worked his way up into third in our championship. And do remember, the top 5 walk away with Tag Heuer connected watches. Pablo trying to hunt down a Quirk in the points where he sits, I think, 16 points adrift right now. He's been very consistent. It's all good, though, to be breaking away in the sprint race. He's going to have to do this from the back, though, if he is able to hold on to the victory, because let's not forget, fully inverted main race means that we're going to see plenty of chaos, I think, on the opening lap.
Certainly, well, chaos could well be the thing and the key word of that on the opening lap. But you look at this, Porsche Zaza, he's not had the best of seasons here in the All-Stars, so he's been trying to work his way forward. Love 46, we've said that she was looking forward to this round of the championship, gets herself onto the front row of the grid, and just too much wheel spin at the start. It's cost her and it dropped her back. Now she's got the hard work to do here.
These cars aren't necessarily designed for standing starts, let's not forget. They very much roll their way through. They do have, in the real world, dual clutches, but that's more just for getting off of pit lane in a safe and quick and efficient manner more than anything. Into the Porsche curves for the very first time. Top 2 not separated by much, and then 2 full seconds back to Emery for Love 46. If she's able to work her way on forward to the front of that train, question will be if she's able to work with maybe Emily Jones as a bit of a bridge between the breakaway at the front and those behind to maybe still insert herself into the podium contention.
Sure, the Porsche curves, I always think that they're on a par with something like the Beckett's complex at Silverstone. Just one of those iconic sections of motorsport asphalt. It truly is sensational. And the final chicane here through the end of the lap at the Circuit de la Sarthe is also a scene of so much drama over the years, and certainly been the scene of plenty of tears of joy and pain. Down towards the Dunlop chicane. Start the second lap here. It is Pablo Lopez from Quirk with Emily Jones in third place ahead of Porsche Zaza. Porsche Zaza up 3 places from where he started. Quirk up 2. Again, another 2 up 3 places, and Dave Cam and Dan Suzuki. It's hard work though, and Casey Kerwin's struggling here today. Is this a case of just Casey wanting a little bit of fun, or is he genuinely struggling around here?
We'll see, but this is a kind of track where I'd be surprised to see Casey struggling this much. But this is also a track where we see so many celebrities come out and race, let's not forget, because Le Mans attracts so many. Think of some Hollywood stars that have come here in recent occasion. We've had Michael Fassbender most recently. We had Patrick Densby a couple of years ago, but we've joined by two celebrities right now that are fighting up towards the front, Quirk as well as Pablo. Let's start with you, Pablo. Big smile on your face. How are you feeling? Quirk right behind you.
I'm feeling okay. I told him not battle to not lose time, and I don't care if it's P1 or P2 in this race. The important race is the next one, but I prefer just to keep it easy and just not get into a draft fest with the group behind.
Quirk, you've been burned a couple of times by some of these other guys playing games against you. Are you trusting Pablo right now?
Of course, man.
You know what? I actually am. We have a pretty good gap, and I would like to keep that gap. Because you never know what's going to happen in that second race, so it would be nice to finish a podium on one of the two races.
Okay, so a tenuous relationship exists for the time being. Let's talk to you guys about the RSR, because it's the final time that we'll be racing it before we head over to the electric Mission R. Pablo, what do you think about it? How much have you enjoyed it?
The RSR is, I think, is the best sounding car of all service in iRacing. It's really nice to drive as well. I will miss it though, and the new electric car, I just didn't try it yet. I still don't bought it, and I will do it in the next week.
What are your thoughts, Quirk, about this machine?
I'm going to miss it. I think it's actually been one of the most enjoyable Porsches to race so far this season. It's nice having no ABS. You got to be a little bit more mindful of your brakes. It's a shame the GTEs are going away in real life. I think in another season, I believe. But it's a fantastic car to drive, and I'm definitely gonna miss it.
Let's talk about the Porsche curves. That's where we're heading right now. Pablo, how easy is it to get through there in clean air? And Quirk, how easy is it with dirty air?
I mean, it's not easy at all. You have to lift still. The setup is a little understeery on high speed. So if you don't lift for the left-hander, you can wrap the wall really, really easy.
They're crashing behind you. Excuse me. Casey Kerwin decided to have a crash, so that's good for the both of you.
Oh, that's great. I mean, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to see that. Oh, such a shame. You hate to see it. Oh, that's fantastic, though.
I'll let you guys focus as we come to the end of lap number 2. Casey is now back on pit lane, so now there's, I think, some incentive to go out there and fight Paul.
Yeah, there certainly is. It's great to hear from the guys, as always, here on commentary. But, yeah, we've had issues for Casey Kerwin and also for Love 46 then out there. Love 46 is back up and running. Emily Jones as well has had issues. She's dropped back down the order, so a few things have happened out there. I'm sure we'll get us a view of that. The production crew behind the scenes, who are ever hard working, they'll be getting us some wonderful shots of that, no doubt. But yeah, as they cross the line, 3 laps to go in this race. It is Pablo Lopez and Quirk, as we saw, together up there at the front, and then a big gap now to Heike 360, Borja Zaza, Dave Cam, Dan Suzuki, Basic Ollie, all there in the top 7 together. There you see that race for 4th place between Heike 360, who's in 3rd, and he's dragging along a whole gaggle of cars behind him, as I said. Matt Malone and Stradi have dropped back from the field as well. Love 46 is on pit road, getting some repairs done to her car. So not being a good day after starting on the front row of the grid, but fortunately, with a full inversion of the grid, does get another opportunity.
And provisionally going to be lining up on the inside of row number 2, hoping to get off the line a little bit better in dropping those clutches. They're queued up like they're on the French highway heading off to the beach for a nice holiday weekend right now. We'll see how much they truly want to fight, because when they went side by side through the chicane a couple of laps ago, it did not end well for Stradi. He's back in 9th, has been able to latch on with Matt Malone. It's going to be, I think, curious how much of a mistake induced opportunity that we end up seeing, because often at Le Mans it's so much about momentum. If you get off the corner a little bit too much, remember, no ABS, no traction control, that really is where you get compromised.
Certainly is, and well, heading towards Mulsanne corner right now, we've got Ike 360 just dropping back behind now, and it's all checking up there, and that's what can happen there when you have one just sneaking in front of the other. They all check up, bang, 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 like a chain reaction there, almost domino-like, and well, they drop down through that one, but we've got, Arjuna, a couple more guests.
Well, we've got one driver that's been involved in some issues still out there, one driver that's been involved in some issues and is back on pit lane. Let's start with you, Casey. What happened?
I'm not too sure. It was, I was just trying to push Dan there. We were all just kind of stuck in a train, and then, me and Love just got together just slightly and just kind of got hooked together at that high speed, and it was over. So, I think it was just tight racing, just got together. But yeah, it was tough. I messed up quali, didn't get a lap, and it was a tough situation with the train, because obviously with the stack ups you want to try and move forward, but then if you go for a dive and it doesn't work, then you just pulled you and someone else out of the draft, right? So it was kind of tough there. I was trying to see if I could get a spot, but it was it was going to be tricky to really go anywhere without just losing the draft and it being pointless. So but yeah, it was an unfortunate ending. Obviously we'll start towards the front of the features, so hopefully it goes a little bit better.
We just saw a look at the incident and how Casey ended up back on pit lane. Lubiov, let's start up with qualifying for you, because you were really looking forward to this round, and second in qualifying, it went well.
Yeah, quali went really well for me. Unfortunately, I failed the start a little bit, so there wasn't an issue, because I felt that I got pace and I can gain positions. Unfortunately, that tough fight happened with me and Casey. I'm not sure what exactly happened, because I didn't watch replay, so I can tell after that, because I don't want to judge situation while I'm in the cockpit, but I thought that here's enough space for Casey on the outside, so that just a racing incident. Things can happen. So I'm looking forward for a feature race. We can fight for a podium here.
Yeah, Casey's had the luxury of actually being able to go back and see what happened. Sorry for what happened between the two of you. You'll both at least be starting on the front row provisionally come the reverse grid main race, so best of luck and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Always good to talk to the drivers. Unfortunately, in Casey's case, from pit lane, but for Lubiov, 11th position with Emily Jones now up into 10th. 2 laps to go though, Paul. We've still got this long train as we head down the Mulsanne once again.
And do you know what? It's nice for once to hear a driver saying that no, I want to look back at the replay and see what happened there before I make a judgment as still side by side into the Daytona chicane, back onto the power as we have a look at a replay at what happened to Emily Jones here, because I said that she dropped down the order. She's down in 10th place right now, and this is what happened. This is down into Mulsanne corner, and Emily, we're just having a look at what happened to you, and it appeared just the car just went straight on. What happened?
So it turns out powered USB hubs are not the best place to plug your wheel into, maybe. So, bit of a wheel failure, yeah.
Right. So I wondered why it just went straight on, but I mean, you know, it's a top tech tip then from yourself, getting the experience there. But Le Mans, it's the RSR. I mean, you can't get a much better combination, really, can you, going around here?
You can't. Look, I've been saying we should race the 919 here. I reckon the LMP1 here would be crazy. I reckon it'll be even more nuts than we are now. But yeah, this car's amazing. It makes the best noise on iRacing, and I'm sad we don't get to race it as much anymore. Yeah.
You know what? You're the second person on this broadcast to say that it's the best sounding car on iRacing, so you're in good company. But of course, second race of the day, you're going to be starting up there at the front. You know, you get a second opportunity. You got to really sort of just do your laps here, take your medicine, and then you got a chance.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been talking to chat, asking them what they had for breakfast, so they're doing good. But yeah, I think like it's Love 46, Casey and I off the front in the next one. Casey's of course, insanely quick. And Love 46 seems really quick here as well, so maybe the three of us could break away. That could be good.
Well, that would be a good shot. All the best, Emily, and look forward to seeing you in race number 2.
Thanks.
There we go then, Arjuna, as we saw more action with Dan Suzuki getting a little half tag and spin there, but managed to keep it going in a straight line enough to slot in 7th place. That race lead though, look at it, Quirk is just on fire right now.
Now that he's been able to get up in front, he's clearly had enough of sitting behind Pablo. Remember, they're all on the same setup, so they're all adjusting their driving style to what the car is giving to them. He's still, though, going to have to deal with the slipstream as we head on to this final lap, and I'm assuming the setup does have a decent amount of downforce taken out of it. Dan Suzuki is going to be dropping back because he's shortcutted that penultimate chicane, and iRacing is going to say slow down for that one. Fortunately, it won't be as painful as if he had cut it on lap number 1.
Yeah, that would be particularly harsh with that on lap number 1. There you see, going underneath the Dunlop Bridge, the battle for the lead, and then the race for 6th place and above as well, because you've got Dave Cam currently in 3rd ahead of Basic Ollie. Basic Ollie's been having a quietly good race here. Started at the back, very back of the grid here, up into 4th place and with a shout of a podium. This is good going. Obviously taking that experience from the real world and putting it into the sim.
He did get a little bit argy-bargy with Dan Suzuki, if I recall, down at Indianapolis last time by, so he's been involved in some of these fights, and it shows that positioning is sometimes important as well, because this is one of those races, we're going to see it with the Supercup, when they're likely going to get 3 wide, if not 4 wide at times. That right place, right time is so important, and that sense of mind to position yourself and make those moves, it comes with experience, and the best drivers figure that out very quickly as well, from what I've seen. So for Basic Ollie, he was doing some of the, was it in a much smaller time attack sort of thing, but he's carried forward some, I think, that presence of mind into this, which is always good to see.
Yeah, it was, and for anybody wondering, that's on the Jimmy Broadbent's channel, is footage of that, and it was a really good effort from Ollie, it must be said, as into and out of the Michelin chicane, and Pablo Lopez all over the back of Quirk. You can see, just sitting outside of the slipstream there.
He's trying to wait until after Arnage, I think, to then try and launch himself in front of Quirk into the Porsche curves, by which point it's hypothetically too late for any other moves to happen. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but hypothetical doesn't always work out in the sim and in racing, that's for sure. As Basic Ollie and Heike 360 going deep at Mulsanne corner. Oh, speaking of going deep, in the background there, that's got to be Matt Malone, it is.
Well, he was having a quiet day, and now he's going to be looking quite, I think, not happy with himself on Twitch. He's been live for 4 hours or so already, but here we go, side by side in towards Indianapolis, a bit earlier than I thought.
Oh, and a little hip check, and into the gravel goes Pablo Lopez as well. Quirk, he didn't know whether to trust Pablo with the arrangement, and obviously feels that just a little bit of a hip check, and it's fine. Basic Ollie looking to the inside of Arnage. That's not really an overtaking opportunity there. You usually compromise yourself out of there, heading towards the Porsche curves, and he has got damage to the front of his car, slight bit of damage on Basic Ollie's car, so he will be just feeling that down the straights, down a few kilometers an hour. Quirk though, he's at the front. He, of course, don't forget, won the championship in the All-Stars last year. He's just got a few more corners out of the Porsche curves, head towards the final chicane, and he'll be able to see himself the checkered flag in this opening race of the evening's action here on the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup coverage. Tremendous to have you all along here, joining myself, Paul Smith, and Arjuna Kankapati for all of the action. Here comes Quirk then, through the final chicane, and he's going to see that checkered flag, is going to smile like a Cheshire Cat, because he is a race winner. How are the final few positions going to pan out? Well, across the line they go, and it's going to be Borja Zazo ahead of Dan Suzuki and Strade. Heike 360 just beating out basic ollie in that race. Matt Malone, I think he'll be licking his wounds further down after that mistake at Mulsanne corner. But there are your results. Quirk with Pablo Lopez in second place by a second. Dave Cam getting himself a podium here in this opening race. Then it was Heuer 360, Basic Ollie, Bolshazazo, Dan Suzuki, Straddy, Matt Malone and Emily Jones. And then the final two is going to be Love 46. Casey Kerwin does not finish this race. As well, the final couple of drivers are still out there on track, still finishing, and Love 46, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow in that opening race, Arjuna.
I think now it's just focus on that next start, right? Getting off the line well, because we saw the pace in qualifying. We know that she's willing to be part of that slipstreaming battle, and so as long as she doesn't get bogged down, she'll be in a lot better position. It was an interesting incident with Casey Kerwin. We didn't really get a look from up above because the track does kind of wind in that section as well, right? It doesn't go straight, it's right, left, and into the Porsche curves, and so potentially we might see more of that as we head into this reverse grid race as the likes of Pablo and Quirk trying to fight their way through on the opening lap.
Well, we'll have to see how they go, but Love 46, the last of the drivers across the line there then to take the checkered flag, and that ends that first race, the sprint race. They get themselves a quick just breath of fresh air, and then it'll be into the feature race. We are here, of course, the penultimate round of this championship at Circuit del Sar. The last race that we're going to be running, the 911 RSR GTE, before we head on over to Monza in 2 weeks' time and the Mission R. Certainly, I'm looking forward to that because I've driven the car a couple of times, and boy, that thing is rapid.
It's going to be interesting how they all fare with it as well, because it's going to be a slightly different sort of an experience to anything else we've raced so far this season at the end of the day. I will just say that I was about to hope that Casey Kerwin's issues might lead us to have some sort of fun for the top spot in our championship, but unfortunately he has already built a truly insurmountable lead. He came into this round with 310 points. Tyson Meyer came in with 180.
Well, there is your grid then. Casey Kerwin and Love 46 sharing front row with Emily Jones and Matt Malone row 2. Row 3 is Straddy and Dan Suzuki. Fourth row for Bolshazazo and Basic Ollie. Heuer 360 and Dave Cameron row number 5, and Pablo Lopez and Quirk rounding out row number 6. As once again, we get the flyby here. You'll get to see that a couple more times here today. And it just goes to show the level of detail that iRacing goes to with the simulation, that they even include the flyby. But we are getting ourselves set for the main race here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. Reds rise. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway then, and it's a good start from the second row of the grid. Straddy with a tremendous launch. He had a great start in race number 1 as well, heading in towards the first couple of corners. They're still trying to sort themselves out. Dan Suzuki looking for third place through that chicane. Oh, Emily Jones just a little bit loose on corner exit. Thinking about going 3-1. Contact between Love 46 and Emily. Emily's into the gravel. And it was through the S's there. Emily has kept going. There she is. You see that car through Tête Rouge for the first time in this main race, and the drivers all trying to sort themselves out in the early going.
It's a good save there by Emily to be able to hold on to a car through the gravel and not also slide back onto track in an unsafe manner. But it now just means that behind, everyone else got a bit stacked up, and while they break away once again 1 and 2 at the front, a little bit more side by side with the likes of Bolshazazo, Heuer 360 giving a shove to Matt Malone. He runs in 5th position and is trying to figure out which line he wants to brake on.
Yeah, it's going into the Daytona chicane, and Pablo Lopez, big lock up on his car, and that drops him down. He's actually going to drop behind Emily Jones here, is he? No, he's funneled out in front for the time being. Dan Suzuki, though, ahead of Casey Kerwin. What's happened to Casey? Has he got himself a slowdown? He has! It's a slowdown penalty on the opening lap. That is the worst time for you to pick up a slowdown penalty, isn't it, Arjuna?
I've said it about 3 times today, haven't I? And poor Casey's just proven how painful it can be. I think a bit of a mistake there, maybe by Dave Cam, and Basic Ollie taking to the outside of that chicane to take avoiding action. Might have picked up his own slowdown in the process, as would have Pablo Lopez. They're all just getting slowdowns on this opening lap.
Well, it is the Spaniard of Stradi who's at the front of the field then, ahead of Dan Suzuki. Love 46 in 3rd place now. So after not the best of launches at the start of this race, now moving forward and getting himself back into 3rd place. So those 3 at the front with Matt Malone right behind Love 46. Here's Heike 360's point of view. Xavier Sanchez. And there's plenty of gesticulation going on there, so plenty of talk about the cars in front. Matt Malone being that car providing the big block.
Compare this to the Nordschleife, when if we wanted to talk to some of the drivers, they were too focused on the race and the track to be able to spare any mental focus to talk to us. This is very different. Heike looking very, very animated there as he worked his way in through one of the slowest, if not the slowest section on the track, and getting himself back up to racing speed. The good thing, if you're Emily Jones, by the way, is with Pablo, Basic Ollie, and Dave Cam all, I think, getting slowdown penalties, she's got a couple of playmates there. 9th is going to be a little fun fight with 4 very quick drivers trying to close back into this leading train.
The thing is, because that slipstream is so king around here, it's going to be so difficult to try and draw that group of 4 back up to the front 8 here in this race, and it is Stradi through the exit the Porsche curves, leading this one ahead of Dan Suzuki. Well, 46 3rd. Heike 360 now under pressure from Casey Kerwin. Kerwin is not going to try and make a move into the final chicane. Well, Quirk is now joining in for a bit of fun. So Quirk, after winning the opening race, he said he hoped to get at least a podium when we spoke to him in that first race. Well, he's got the win. He's trying to get another podium here.
He's already gained 5 positions from the back of the pack as well. This is what I was saying as well. Just look at these names. You've got the Pulpo Lopez, Emily Jones, Basic Ollie, Dave Cam. I think all 4 of these drivers have been up towards the front and on a regular basis over the course of our season, and so this is what the reverse grid does sometimes, and this is what a slowdown will do. It's only 1.5 seconds though up now to Borja Zazo, so Pablo has gotten the very first signs of draft, and he's bringing the rest with him.
Don't forget as well, Emily Jones, our first ever All-Stars champion, so knows what it takes to win a championship here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. As they go through Tatouage once again and onto the Mulsanne straight. And, well, these drivers looking forward, driving down the middle of the road because, of course, this is a public highway. The track does have a crown in the middle of the road for drainage when it rains. So these drivers straddling the middle of the track there just to try and get any sort of advantage that they can as well, Arjun.
We're going to talk with Basic Ollie and Dave Cab, who sound like they're having a hoot.
Hello, hello. Yes, we are. It's brilliant. We got well confused then. I could just hear Dave.
I was like, Ollie's now in the broadcast. What's going on?
Guys, did you both get slowdowns after you tried to cut one of the chicanes?
I did, unfortunately, yes. I did on the second chicane. And yeah, I just couldn't avoid it after contact. It was a big old straight on. But yeah, it is. It's first lap. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. So yeah, it's all good.
Dave?
Hello. Yes, I'm just chilling right back here now. I'm just trying to get rid of this slowdown. Yes, it's gone eventually. It's gone.
Oh, you got another slowdown.
Yes, because Ollie came into my chat and I thought, what's going on here? And I went off track. I didn't know what was going on. So, yeah, I don't know who to blame there. You guys or Ollie?
I go with Ollie, not us.
We'll blame Ollie. Yeah.
Well, we'll leave you guys to figure out who's to blame here. And now we'll bring in another two. We'll talk with Casey and Matt, Paul.
Here comes a push. Here comes a push.
Oh, you see,
Boom!
here's the cooperation. They're working together again. They did it at Spa. I mean, Matt, you won at Spa, don't forget. and we always like to remind people about that win, don't we, Matt? But you two working together again.
Dynamic
Look at us.
duo.
Exactly. Well, Casey helped me out so much before. I figured I'd help him out this race. He struggled a little bit in the first race, and even the beginning of this race, he had a little bit of a slowdown. So I'm here. I'm just helping a friend out. I don't want to have him at the bottom of the leaderboard every race. I got to help my buddy out.
I mean, Casey, you had such a good start, and then it's easy on lap 1, isn't it, to make that mistake?
Yeah, me and this racetrack just never get along, and I find a new way to get a slowdown, I think, every time I drive it. So I'm sure I'll find a new place to get one before this race is over.
Don't go wide here.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're still in the draft. We worked together with Matt. We're still in the fight here.
Well, Matt's playing a bit of sort of rear gunner, isn't he, to try and protect you from Quirk, because Quirk wants another podium here, Matt.
Dude, Quirk doesn't stand a chance. Listen, this guy, you won the first race, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, it's that snow.
Oh, you're in here now. Uh-oh. Quirk.
No. I was gonna play nice, but no holds barred now.
Well, Quirk won the first race. He's an entirely different zip code than I was when he crossed the line.
I was 3 laps down.
Yeah, well, you'll do better this race.
Well,
Okay.
Arjuna, we've got the easiest job in the world again. These three can do the commentary whilst they drive.
I still love how we ambushed Quirk with TK a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, where's TK? He's not busy today. Why isn't he here?
He's a busy going fast, isn't he?
Yeah, he's busy getting midfield in the Indy 500.
Oh, jeez.
I was gonna go down there and cheer him on, but I don't know if it's worth the effort now. I mean,
either midfield at the Indy 500 or dead last in Pesk. Which one does he want to choose?
Well, I mean, he's not doing bad for a dinosaur, is he, Quirk?
No, he's not. He's an old man. What's funny is I asked chat when they started the tradition of the milk drink at the Indy 500, and someone said that it started back in 1936 when a driver asked for some milk to quench his thirst, apparently. And I was like, the funny thing is about that race, TK finished 4th in that race back then. So he's been around quite a bit,
Oh my God.
He's seen a few things.
Casey, now be careful. 146 was on the poster.
I know. We weren't careful enough, and we crashed in the last race, so I got to be extra careful this time.
Well, I mean, we've got to ask now tactics, because we're on lap 3 at the moment. You've got plenty of time. Just use that draft. Just stick there. And it's all about timing around here, is what I've found from racing around here. But Matt, you've got to pull the finger out a little bit and try and catch up to these guys.
Pull my finger out of my butt? What's going on?
Oh my goodness!
I can't catch him. I always lose the draft. I'm not good here. I don't like it.
If a few of you could get slowdowns, that would be.
I just got a slowdown.
Oh,
Let me take that real quick.
Serve it on the racing line. Make sure Quirk slows down with you.
Thanks, buddy. See ya, Matt.
Okay,
you guys can drop Matt from the interview booth now. He's not even going to be in contention now.
All right, it went away.
Only lost about 4 seconds, Matt.
Yeah.
Well, at the front, Dan Suzuki has made the pass on Stradi. You've got Love 46 in front. Casey's trying to catch up now. Dan Suzuki's going to try and pull away here as... I tell you what, of the 3 cameras that I'm seeing here, Arjuna, on the screen right now, Matt Malone is the one who's working the wheel the most.
Oh,
He's
definitely.
putting a lot of effort in.
Yeah, Matt, I've got to ask, Matt, why are you wheeling this car so much?
Well, I like to have the force feedback up. I got the sound blasting. I just like to really get immersed in this, and I'm wheeling it because I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm making a lot of bad calls here. And the car's just all over the place. I struggle on tracks I don't know very well, So I'm really just trying to manhandle it through here instead of being smooth.
I've got a question for Casey, because Casey, you gave us racing driver excuses earlier about your lack of speed. You just couldn't get it together in qualifying. What's the real racing driver excuse?
Just the car's just not with me. I don't know. I struggle really bad here, honestly. It's always a trip for me, I felt like last year when I ran here, I didn't do terrible, but whatever I learned there, I couldn't remember it apparently. But yeah, I don't know. I could pull out all the excuses, lack of practice, that the temperature in my room is just not optimal for my performance.
Too much humidity in your room, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's messing with my hair, and it just,
I saw you pointing your socks on backwards. That could be the issue.
That's why Quirk has the advantage. The humidity doesn't mess with his hair. So, he's not affected by it.
Hey,
That's why
I
he was
shaved
so
right
fast in
before
the
this
first
event. I knew I had to go quick, so
More aerodynamic.
I mean, you're both doing better than Matt, who just lost another place, I'll let you know.
That's not hard.
Pablo's got him past him.
All right, okay, well, this guy, he got second in the first race, so he's pretty good. I'm going to follow him all the way up to you guys. It's the strat.
We did see Quirk and Pablo, quote-unquote, working together. I still feel like, Quirk, you hung him out to dry, so no one can trust you.
I did lock up my left front and pushed him out into the sand. And I did ask my chat if I should wait for him, and they're like, no. So you know what? It's tough out there. What are you gonna do?
Chat's fault.
Your chat is clearly not a good influence on you.
They are not. No.
I'm trying to figure out whose chat is probably the worst influence. I don't know. I feel Matt's chat's probably a pretty bad influence.
But they're pretty positive. It's got to be Quirk's chat for sure.
No one's saying Casey's chat though, by the way.
Yeah.
Casey's chat's just like, when's the next oval race? When's the next oval race?
No, they were telling me to wreck Matt earlier.
Casey, does your chat tell you in World Championship races what to do, or do you just try and ignore that?
I'm sure they do. I don't have chat on, but yeah, I'm sure when things aren't going well, they're trying to tell me what to do better and whatnot.
He doesn't even have time for chat. Unbelievable.
Look, man, it's a little stressful at times.
He's too busy polishing his oval trophies.
We've got side by side, 2x2. It's Noah's Ark into Mulsanne, by the way, as Casey makes the move to the inside. Oh, it's 3 wide on corner exit. This can only end well. Heading towards Indianapolis. Matt, you've got the face of a man who's just had a slowdown potentially.
No, I didn't have a slowdown. It's me just being slow. That's the problem. I don't need a slowdown to lose the draft. Do that on my own.
Why do you think I'm sat in the commentary booth talking about it? I'm too slow even for All-Stars. Well, all you got to do, Casey, is try not to wreck another person out of a race this time at Le Mans, okay?
I'll do my best here. No promises.
Well, what this is doing is it is dragging Quirk and also Heike 360 into this one. Love 46 has run wide through Arnage. Fortunately misses the tyre barrier. And Quirk's not happy about that because Heike 360 has been quick around here this week, that is for sure. But Arjuna, Dan Suzuki and Casey are trying to run away at the front here.
I sometimes liken this place a little bit to road racing's Talladega, and Casey, you're pushing Dan too much right now. You're being too nice.
I just feel like, I just want to try and get away while they were battling back there. I don't know what the gap is. Dan just messed up a little bit there. It's close on breaking away from Stratty and them, so we're gonna do our best here. A little shake and bake. It's gonna hopefully work out. We'll see.
Well, Matt and Quirk, you guys are too slow, so we're getting rid of you and saying hello to Dan instead. The breakaway at the front. Dan, how are you feeling right now with everyone stacking up behind you?
Well, I'm feeling good. Let's see how this goes. Casey is pushing, hopefully me and not in terms of pace, but let's see. I'm surprised I'm here, but let's make the best out of it.
I mean, it's been a good start to the race so far for you. 5 places gained from where you started with that inverted grid. It must be good to be up at the front, but all you're doing is creating a big hole in the air for everyone else behind you, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, somebody has to do that,
Someone's got to keep it entertaining. Got to keep everyone packed up.
Well, you say he's keeping everyone backed up, but I don't see you passing him here, Casey.
No,
so,
packed up, not backed up. He's doing plenty fine. I'm not one to be talking about speed around this joint, okay? It's just,
this is why I drive so slow, to have a nice big pack, I could drive quicker, of course.
Yeah, we could be running like 47s easily right now.
Easy, 46 maybe, if you push me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dan, we haven't spoken to you. How are you finding the RSR here? It's the final time we're getting to race the car. It's a fun car, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I love the GT. It's always been my favorite category on iRacing. I used to grind that so much when it was super popular, like 3 or 4 years ago. So it feels good to be back in it. It's definitely my favorite car class, and yeah.
Well, you're doing a good job up at the front, that is for sure. But Casey's got a bit of company as well behind with Straddy. So Casey, you know, meeting the sandwich right here. You know, you're used to pressure, surely.
Yeah, it's nothing. You know, normally it's a lot more cars than this in the NASCAR stuff. Normally we're like 4 wide about the wreck in a straight line in the NASCAR stuff. So it's honestly, I feel better. The more cars, you know, if we're 5 wide about an inch apart, honestly, I'll feel better.
Well, these drivers, you've all given us a really good show. Dan, Casey, thanks so much for joining us. Have a good rest of the race. But we are going to go and jump on board then with Love 46 as we give ourselves a little bit of buzz, full throttle. Full throttle for you all, but we're on to the final lap, and Casey Kerwin's trying his best to pull away from Dan Suzuki. The problem is he's not been able to pull away enough to break the draft here. So Dan, if he can keep it relatively close here out of Tête Rouge, he's got a chance of drawing Casey Kerwin in here.
7 cars effectively in the slingshot train, so it could go any direction. Even Pablo Lopez could be able to work to the front if there's enough of a battle. That's Dan Suzuki, though, that's going to check up second on back as they work out of that very fast Tête Rouge complex. And now, let's see how the Apex Racing Academy car gets swarmed. Quirk on the hunt, Love 46 going to the outside.
Oh, careful now, they're going 3 wide down the Mulsanne. They are allowed to go over the hard shoulder there onto the side of the track, and they're 3 wide. Dan Suzuki gets a bump draft from Quirk. Quirk's got nowhere to go here. Love 46 and Straddy side by side with Quirk into the Daytona chicane, and Love 46 gets turned around there. Oh, Heike 360 as well, running wide through the Daytona chicane. Oh, it was looking so good, and wow, it just all comes to pain and suffering at the Daytona chicane.
And we've gifted a win to Casey Kerwin, apparently. Who does not need gifting on the best of, even on the worst of days, rather, for Casey, who has really just been phenomenal across all the different cars, all the different tracks that we've seen him in this Porsche All-Stars. And now 1.3 seconds clear, should be able to hold off. Straddy with his slowdown is going to drop to the very edge of the top 5, and Love 46, who clearly had plenty of speed, is now battling with the likes of Matt Malone on this final lap of the race.
So Kerwin, 1.3 seconds should be clear of Dan Suzuki in terms of any draft. Could be a mistake though. It's easy to make a mistake, especially on the run down through to Indianapolis. Oh, Heike 360, where are you going? My goodness, I mean, great avoidance to avoid wiping out everybody. But what was that?
Technical failure. He is going to be able to back it up. Maybe that's actually just him missing his braking point if he's able to spin it around and get back running in such a quick turnaround. So a heads-up nature to realize that if he was going to try and brake, he was either going to lock up and slide into the cars or just not slow down in time. And, well, we got through that safely. Here's Matt Malone, though, to the inside of Love 46 as we headed towards Indianapolis. It's banked on the outside. If Malone wants to be bold, he's got to be careful because Borja Zazo's lurking behind.
Yeah, Zazo wants to move forward. Love 46 holding the inside. That opens the door, but it's such a tight corner as Arnage as Emily Jones now heads towards the gravel trap there at Arnage. So not being the best of days for Emily, but these drivers further down your order giving us some tremendous excitement here on the final lap here of the main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. Malone to the inside of Porsche curves. That's brave. And well, he's going to get caught out here because Malone and Zaza, oh, contact, just the slightest of contact. Malone's around into the ball. But up at the front, Casey Kerwin, well, he didn't finish the first race. He's going to finish the second race. And best of all, he's going to be finishing at the front. Through the final chicane he comes. And Casey Kerwin is once again a race winner here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. Coming across the line as well, Dan Suzuki and Quirk second and third, with Pablo Lopez up into fourth place in the end there. 9 places gained for Quirk in that race. And then the rest of them through. Straddy and Basic Ollie gained a couple of places in that race as well. And well, let's take you to the Buzz post-race show here and take you through your race results here, because it is Casey Kerwin who wins that one by 2.1 seconds over Dan Suzuki. Quirk, Pablo Lopez and Straddy are the next 3, with Basic Ollie, Love 46, Borja Zazo, Emily Jones and Matt Malone rounding at the top 10. Final 2 cars that finished was Dave Cam and Heike 360. Well, that was an entertaining final lap of the race there, and certainly one that gave us a bit of entertainment, that is for sure. There's the standings then. 117 points between Kerwin and Quirk. It's an insurmountable lead, as Arjuna said earlier on, and Kerwin does take that championship. But don't forget, it's the top 5 that get a Tag Heuer connected watch. So Dan Suzuki, Xavier Sanchez, they're pretty close there with Emily Jones and Dave Cam, Jardier as well. But Arjuna, you've got an interview with all of our podium here.
We're going to chat to them all at the same time, and we'll start with you, Casey, coming out on top. Congratulations on your Tag Heuer connected watch, as well as officially wrapping up the championship.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, it was a fun season for sure. We still got one more to go with the Mission R, which should be fun. I'm actually really looking forward to that car. It'll be crazy. But yeah, it was a tricky one today. You know, like I said in the race, Le Mans, it's just not really my cup of tea. I tend to struggle at it. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun racing it as always, and the whole season's been a lot of fun with everyone. And yeah, we'll have one more wild one, and I don't think anyone really has anything to expect or knows what to expect in the electric cars. So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I drove the car when it first came out, and it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, should be a good one. One more time in 2 weeks.
Le Mans, no Darlington, I guess. Dan, a nice, quiet second race, I guess, in some ways for you, staying out of most of the drama. You're inside the top 5 in points. You're 2 points clear of Heike 360, heading into the final round. Yes.
Wow, cool. That's nice. Let's see what we can do in the last race then. Maybe I should practice a bit.
Have you bought the Mission R?
Yeah. I actually think it's an amazing car. I think people should try it out and not be afraid to drive it only because it's electric. Yeah, it sounds a bit lame, but it's actually a lot of fun to drive because it feels like a truck that is super heavy, but with so much power. It's a fun car, yeah.
Quirk is being interrupted by Love right now. What's the pup's name?
This pup, her name is Zoe.
Oh, how old?
She is 1.5 years, and she's a troublemaker.
I don't believe that. She looks very sweet.
Yeah, she's sweet.
Quirk, you're second in the points, heading over to the Mission R. We've had 3 very different cars. As our defending champion, how have you enjoyed this season?
Oh, it's been a blast. A lot of these races have been really, really good. The quality of competition has gone up each year. I wasn't in the first season, but the last season, and then now with this season, the pace of the drivers have just gone up a lot, and it's been pretty tough. A lot of times you got to try to wait for someone to make a mistake because it's tough to get a pass. Otherwise, it's been fantastic. The communities have been really, really, really great as well. So.
Glad to hear that you're all having fun. Dan's said he's going to enjoy the Mission R. What do you think about that car, Quirk?
I have very limited time driving it. I can say that it's going to be an adjustment between quali and racing. That thing is a rocket ship in quali mode. It's like a completely different car. And then it's dialed back a little bit in race mode. And then it was a bit of an adjustment because it felt quite heavy compared to these other GT cars that we've been racing. But I think it'll be fun. It should be interesting. It's at Monza, so I'm sure there's going to be some shenanigans in the first chicane. So I can't wait to see that. Hopefully I won't be a part of it. So.
Got a question for Dan very quickly. We've had 4 different we'll have 4 different cars over the course of the season. Which Porsche would you like us to see add next year?
The RSR.
You want? No, you gotta give us a new one.
A new one? Well, then the new GT3, the 992. Love it.
Okay, you're being very boring and safe right now, Dad.
Sorry.
Well, guys, we'll let you be for this week. We'll see you in a couple of weeks to wrap up the season. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you over at Monza.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. That's our podium from the All-Stars there. One more round for them to go at Monza with that Mission R. How did you think the RSR went, though, for us in these last 3 rounds?
I've loved it, and maybe no better place for us to say goodbye to it than here at the Circuit de la South, where it won on its final outing in GTE Pro. It is going to be somewhat sad to see it say goodbye in the real world here in a couple of weeks' time, but so much memories, such a great sound, and so much virtual fun that we can continue to have here on iRacing.
Well, there was plenty of action, thrills and spills here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars, but stick around because the action's not done yet, because we've got the Supercup coming up next after this.
Chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not bad. Deep, keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow.
This is virtual racing with real stakes. This is fine lines, milliseconds, and 200 grand. This is insane, but that's what keeps us coming back for more. The Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup by iRacing, live on YouTube and Twitch.
2023, we will be here for the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup, and what a venue we have for you. Circuit de la Sarthe for this 9th week of the championship. Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankapati here for you for all the coverage as always. And well, Arjuna, the championship at the top may be a bit of a big gap, but there's a lot still at stake here.
We're talking now about next year. Yes, maybe the championship looking like we could head into the final round with it all but done and dusted. Top 15 is all about securing your spot in 2024 and not needing to go through the grind that is the road to the World Championship. With all the technical tracks done, we mentioned this with the All-Stars, it's a very different sort of race. It's now about positioning your car well, because we're going to see plenty of 3 and 4 wide in the next couple of hours.
We are certainly indeed going to see that, but let's take a look at what happened last time out at the Nürburgring. Eifel Mountains in Germany, the Nürburgring, and well, 16 miles. Green flag, away we go, and it's a good start from Alejandro Sanchez. Has Nessoff in the wall.
Lack of downforce in this Cup car becomes so apparent as well.
That was, I believe, Kevin Nielsen. Yeah, Neil. Oh dear, Simone. Inkita, the run all the way down the Dottinger Heuer. All that Job can try and do is get some sort of side draft. Job's coming back here. Keita's backed out of it. Alejandro Sanchez. It has been lights to flag here for victory. And it's green flag. Good start from pole position for Sarika. Tapped in the mid-pack, it's Sonnen. He got breaking, Charlie Collins into the wall.
Massive back gets backed off into the wall.
Sanchez, oh, there's contact with Job. Around he goes. Get the run. Oh, there's a tap between the two of them. Contact there. Binko, can he hold on to this? Gonna be neck and neck at the line. And it's Binko. Binko who takes the win here across the line. My goodness.
So from one classic to another, from one public road to another, we go from Germany to France and we land at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Opened back in 1909, and it's been the test for endurance racing machines since. It's been where technology comes to be tested, is where drivers come to be recognized. That run on the Mulsanne obviously interrupted by 2 chicanes, but it's 3.7 miles, as Paul Smith, loves to mention, is the same length as the entirety of the Sebring International Raceway. Counter that though with some of the faster sections at the end, the Porsche curves most significantly. It's a challenge that all the drivers will very much in qualifying be looking to try and get to the front of, because if you're back in the pack, expect plenty of drama.
And drama aplenty we usually get around here. It is one of those tracks that gives us some sensational racing, that is for sure, and we saw one of the saves of sim racing's history from Sebastian Job last year, don't forget, on that run down to Indianapolis. It had my respect, that is for sure, for what Sebastian did last time out. But these drivers, the teams, their setups will very much be all about one thing: speed around here.
Minimum wing, but that's been the case for many rounds now. Minimum rake also, really not much that's changed there. I think the difference though that we have to talk about is again about momentum, because it's going to be even more apparent here. If you make a mistake out of any corner, you're going to be swamped by those behind you that get good launches and try to work their way on forward. Qualifying isn't necessarily that important here as we take a look at our Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup pole award winners so far this season, because you can fight your way on forward, but setting the tempo can be so important.
Getting up near the front also keeps you out of that pack, and we've seen how in that mid-pack things can happen at venues. But yeah, Alejandro Sanchez has had a real turn of pace with his pole positions, and he got it last time out at the Nürburgring. Here's how things go. So it is lone qualifying, 1 lap per driver. We've got 2 groups of drivers. The 30th through to 6th place in the points, they all go together in Group A. They'll be setting off in just a few seconds time. And then after they've been done, Group B will be going out one by one from 5th to 1st. And the order is of course set by the point standings. The drivers, they start their lap towards at the end of the Porsche curve, so it's not a lot of time to prepare their cars for their hot lap here, Arjuna.
Which I think is a somewhat good thing, because we've seen plenty of games being played with how they warm the tyres. You can see here Kevin Nielsen in that Fire Sim Sport car trying to do all he can in the brief run through that final chicane toward the line to start the time on the clock. And remember, it is a one-shot qualifying attempt. You go wide at any corner, that is it for your run. And so as much as they're trying to push the bounds of the track to carry as much speed as possible, you've got to temper that with just that little bit of care. Can't cut any of these curves too much. We talked about slowdowns with the All-Stars. You get a slowdown here, that's your time done. You're at the back.
Yeah, and it's a long day at the office if you are at the back here in qualifying. And well, the Fire eSports driver, Kevin Nielsen, heading towards Tech Rouge then. And it's such a famous corner, this one. Carry the speed, go wide but not too wide, and then head down the Mulsanne straight. Heading towards the Daytona chicane, of course, that cooperation between Daytona and Le Mans, naming their chicanes. Of course, Daytona, you have the Le Mans chicane right towards the end of the lap. And, well, these drivers, they're heading to the Daytona chicane at the start of the lap. Here's a driver who is in his debut season and has been finding it tough at times of Oscar Line, but he has had the occasional good result as well out there. He's the second best performing of our rookies here. Did so well at Spa-Francorchamps.
Let's not forget that he's 15th in points coming into this one, so he's provisionally on the bubble to lock himself in for 2024, to mean that the rest of his year can be relatively worry-free, not having to think about either the qualifying series or then after that the contender series as well. There we get the look on board with the Zebra, the BS composition driver that runs there. Was going to call out this battle for the top 15 when it comes to Fire Sim Sport as well, because we've got Christopher Dambitz, Kevin Nielsen, and then Matthias Stuckback running 26th, 27th, and 28th in points. All three of them could enter the final round knowing they are mathematically unable to get their way up into the top 15. For a team that showed so much promise in that road to the World Championship at the end of last year, they don't want to be heading back there at the first time of asking.
Julian Sonnen there that we're on board with is the driver just outside 16th place for Julian, so he'll be looking to try and get himself a good result here in this round of the championship. But he's, what is it, about 15 points behind, isn't he, behind Oscari? So he is somebody who needs a good result and needs it sooner rather than later in this one. So qualifying is going to be key out of this one. There's looking at the sector times on my timing screen, there's individual absolute bests. There's nobody getting multiple absolute bests out there on track. Simone Maria Marchena, no qualifying for him. Yeah, he's not taking the start. Max Benneker, what a round he had last time at the Nürburgring. A driver who's really been struggling and admitted that with his commitments in sim racing, as well as here in this championship, he has found it a bit of a struggle. But last time was an absolute godsend for him, wasn't it, Arjuna, to get himself into that top 15?
And I think that will give him a lot of confidence. It was nice to be able to speak with Max as well, because it would have been very disappointing to have gone an entire season without talking to someone who's been ever present and at the top of our championship hunts on more than one occasion, or at least fighting at the very top of the championship on more than one occasion. He's also competing by himself, though, this year, which is slightly different. After leaving Team Redline, joining up with Mouse, I wonder what that's been like for him. Of course, maybe setup development, not necessarily where he's going to struggle because he's got the baseline. It's all about speed and developing that. And as the first times come in qualifying, 3:58.4 for Moreno Sarica, provisional pole. Where does everyone else stack up?
Well, we'll have to see how that all comes, because Pinto to the head of the standings right now, as Charlie Collins is going to be starting his qualifying run. So Group B will be heading out there right now to start their qualifying. But it's Pinto from Bico at the moment at the head of the standings. He is Charlie Collins. We get a look at him in the bottom of our timing tower, but a good lap time, a good benchmark from Pinto, a couple of absolute fastest sectors for him in this qualifying. So he is certainly set that benchmark, being a couple of tenths, well, best part of 3 tenths of a second, clear of the rest.
Not forget for Charlie Collins that he's here for a bit of redemption, I think, today. The championship fight has definitely gone. The Nordschleife was not kind to either him or Bryn, both here in the Porsche eSports Supercup, but last week in the iRacing Nürburgring 24 Hours as well, where we saw Bryn, Charlie Collins, as well as Zach Campbell and Ian Changubin team up. At one point, they were looking like they might win the race. Unfortunately, it was not to be.
It's a cruel, cruel world, is the world of sim racing. You know, it can take things away from you. Alejandro Sanchez, the driver who's got the most pole positions this season, he is starting his lap right now as he heads into the opening corners of this track. And Sanchez, he was so dominant in that sprint race at the front of the field, but then one mistake, and it cost not only himself, but Sebastian Job, and there was somebody else involved in that incident that's passing my mind just now. But yeah, that last race at the Nürburgring really was a big problem.
It was Moreno Sorica, if I remember correctly, who was on for a really good finish, and that's what made it so much crueler as well. And so hopefully Alejandro can atone for that mistake with some good racing here. But let's talk very quickly with Diogo Pinto, provisional pole position winner after being able to be fastest in Group A. Diogo, how are you feeling about the time? The only driver into the 357s.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised, to be honest. The lap was clean, the tires were good. It could have been even better, but I took it super careful on the last sector. And yeah, luckily it was a good lap time. Clean, not many mistakes.
I've got to ask about the backdrop, because I think you're over in the Netherlands at the slowly being unveiled Team Redline headquarters.
Yeah, I'm racing here this weekend. I was supposed to go to Imola. Yeah, so we organized something with the team and I came here to race Pesca.
Let's talk a little bit about last weekend very quickly before we talk more about today, because iRacing Nürburgring 24 Hours, you competed with Ollie Steinbraten as well as with Max Verstappen. Was a decent race as you guys tried to win again after coming out on top in 2021. Ultimately on the podium, but just coming up short.
Yeah, we just lacked some pace in the car. Maybe the setup approach wasn't great, but ultimately it was the damage we took. We randomly took damage on some bumps, which really made the race tricky for us. But yeah, podium is not so bad after all.
As we continue to watch these drivers ticking their way around, Charlie Collins is heading off in towards the Porsche curves. Let's talk a little bit about the type of racing that we're going to have today and how pole position here is not necessarily the most important pole position of the season.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of my best laps of the season, and it doesn't really mean much here. But at this point of the championship, I just want to prove that I'm fast and get some good results. I'm not expecting to retain pole, but the track gets a little colder, so get maybe a tenth and a half faster. So it's unlikely I get pole, but it should be at least in the top 2, top 3, I'm hoping.
Well, we're about to find out as Charlie Collins comes his way to the line.
Yeah, so Collins has only got his first sector as the absolute best. The rest are all personal best, but you expect that when it's on a single lap of qualifying. Through the final chicane he goes, and the young driver from Monmouth goes across the line and sets a lap time that puts him 5th place on the grid so far. So far so good, Diogo, but Alejandro Sanchez, he has been really quick in these qualifying sessions. Where do you think he's getting this time, Diogo?
Honestly, I think it's just with this format, one-shot quali, obviously it's a bit down to luck, but depends also on your form and your confidence under pressure. So I guess Alejandro has just been pretty good in those circumstances. I feel like I've been pretty fast. I should have at least gotten a couple of poles, I would say. But yeah, just it's all about putting a decent lap without major mistakes, and that's what I did here. You see the gap, but when you compare to our practice time, it's not necessarily a super good lap. So it's all about minimizing the mistakes and keeping it clean.
Well, Sanchez coming into that final chicane then. Launch over the curbs there, out of the corner. What is his time going to do as he comes across the line? That puts him 2nd place, 19 thousandths of a second behind Diogo Pinto right now, Arjuna. Oh, it's getting nice and close at the top.
We do have a second driver that has dipped below the 358s as well, which is nice to see. It's just Sebastian Job, Zach Campbell, and then Jordan Caruso yet to come. Of those drivers, all three of them have pole positions this season. So by no means is the 200s that Alejandro Sanchez sits behind a comfortable margin. Three very quick drivers heading into the final sector.
Yeah, we are in and out of the Porsche curves, heading towards that final chicane for Sebastian Job. And the young Brit, he's looking to just try and hang on to whatever sinews of a championship contention he's got. He's 78 points behind Charlie Collins in joint second place in the championship as Sebastian comes out the final chicane, comes across the line, sets a time. That puts him third, so Pinto's still on provisional pole position with just two drivers to go here, Arjuna.
You could tell for Sebastian as well. He wasn't too happy with the lap heading out of the final chicane. Third is not a terrible performance, all things considered, given that he'll be provisionally on row 2 with just Campbell and Caruso left to go. Look at the look of focus on Campbell's face as he heads up into the Porsche curves. Pretty focused right now.
Yeah, you're talking about the blink of an eye is the gap between Pinto and Sanchez at the front of the field, and Pinto's just got to sit here. You've got to sit here and wait and watch and hope that these drivers keep behind you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really care on this track. I don't think it matters. As long as you run the top 3, top 4, so you get safely through to the main race in the reverse grid spot. It's fine, I mean, but it will be nice, of course, to get the pole position in this season, at least.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because Zach Campbell now coming across the line. He comes and finishes his lap time. He doesn't look too happy with it, and it's 4th place for the young man from Georgia. So now it's all about our championship leader from Australia. And I can tell you right now, Arjuna, there's no absolute best sector times.
But it's all about consistency and putting it together over the course of the lap. We talked about this at the Nordschleife with how tire wear actually somewhat mattered, because the lap was so long, you're putting enough load through that if you were somewhat tentative at the start, it might gain you some time at the end. It's a similar case here, where if you light up the tires out of one of the traction zones, it's going to compromise you all the way down that straight and maybe mentally compromise you into the next braking zone as well. What does Jordan Caruso have? The final car to come across the line.
Here's Caruso launching the car over the curbs. What's his time going to be across the line? And it will put him 8th. So Diogo Pinto, you are on pole position here today.
Yeah, very nice. I'm very happy to get a pole position finally.
It's your first pole of the season. We'll let you go away and prepare for the race. All the best for the race, Diogo. Thank you for joining us. But that is a Tag Heuer Pole Award winner for Diogo Pinto here. As he said, his first pole position of the season. It means that going into the final round of the championship, only Jordan Caruso can try and share a watch with Alejandro Sanchez. So Pinto, our 6th different pole position sitter in this championship. It's a great result for the young man from Portugal, and he's shared that front row with Alejandro Sanchez. Row 2 for Sebastian Job and Zach Campbell, with Alessandro Bica and Johan Haaf on row number 3. 4th row of the grid for Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso, the two Australians starting together. Charlie Collins and Marina Sirica on row 5, with the 6th row Salva Talens and Lasse Bach. On the 7th row of the grid here today, it's Sam Keiter with Bryn Collins, Luca Keita, who had such a good race in the sprint race last time out. Alongside him is Matthias Stuckberg. Jamie Flug and Max Benneker share the 9th row of the grid. Row number 10 for Kevin Nielsen and Oscar Irine, with Alexei Nesov, Oscar Mangan, Quentin Violette and Bobby Zelensky on row number 12. 13th row for Thomas Tetteler with Gustavo Ariel, Simone Maria Marcheno and Christopher Dambit, with Julian Sonnen, your last driver, all on his own, on row number 15. We get the flyby from the Air Force once again. Tricolor in the sky. very, very traditional start to a race here at Le Mans to get that. Very, very quickly, Arjuna, what we're going to see in this opening sprint race.
I think the thing to watch for is how important it is to stay out of trouble, because look at the back. There are drivers that are not actually on the straight, that are in the final corner, that are going to have to fight their way on forward. 4 drivers with no times on the board. Ariel, Marcheno, Dambitz, and Sonnen have lots of work to do in what is just a 3-lap race. We double that for the main race, 6 laps at the very end.
And remember, the magic number is 8th place if you want a pole position in the main race. But the drivers now will get on the loud pedal. The revs will rise here. The drivers looking to the starter's gantry. And we have green flag racing here at Le Mans. Heading into turn number 1 at the start of this sprint race, and it's a good start from Pinto and Sanchez on the front row. Job is alongside Zach Campbell going around the outside. Job's trying to get the inside for the opening part of the chicane, and he's only gone and done it, you know, trying to get second place, and he does that on the outside, but Sanchez isn't going to give this one up, as the rest of them 2-3 wide further back in your field. But it is Pinto in the lead from Sebastian Job. Alejandro Sanchez losing the 1 place there with Zach Campbell in 4th. Those two, Job and Campbell, are the only 2 contenders for Jordan Caruso here in the championship. They need to score as many points as possible. If you're Job or Campbell, you need race wins.
Bobby Zelensky might have got a slowdown. He's going to drop to the very back, but everyone else gets out of Tetra Rouge safely as they launch themselves into the first of the chicanes. Look at Pinto, who's already built up a bit of a buffer, getting a great run in that first sector over Job. There's not really going to be too much movement outside of potentially one of the Stormforce Apex racing cars having launched to the inside. You go all the way, though, back to about 11th spot where Sam Koitert went on the offense in the Urano eSports car.
Keita, I saw further down the order as well in 17th, was side by side going into that Daytona chicane. But if you're Pinto at the front right now, all you're doing is just focusing on hitting your marks and just trying to stay at the front of the field. Look at the field now, just spread out as they head towards the second chicane here on the Mulsanne straight. Onto the brakes once again. Through the left, through the right. It's actually quite a fast chicane is this one. Carry the speed out that chicane. Look at them using all of the track and then some. We are allowed to use the hard shoulders here on this public road, so there's no worries about track limits there as that one. As Sanchez now looking to make a move on Sebastian Job as we're heading to Mulsanne corner.
And Job going to have to be careful that he doesn't lose out on the outside. Pretty much everyone else single file as we get that concertina played out once again. Look at the front though, where Sanchez with a good run out of a very slow speed complex able to launch onto the back of Pinto. And this is where we tend to see the 2, the 3, the 4 wide is on this run down into the slowest portion of the track. Sanchez on the outside might get a push from Joe, who elects to take it 3 wide.
Oh, 3 wide in towards Indianapolis. And if you're Zach Campbell, you just sat there and you're hovering off the throttle because you just can't get involved there. Job around the outside into Indianapolis. Nicely done to the head of the field. Biko looking at Zach Campbell. Alessandro Biko, by the way, what a turn of pace he's had here in the second half of this championship this year. Sam Keita is dropping down the order. Oh my goodness, and that's going to be dropping down the order a lot. But yeah, Keita down the field. As we keep green flag racing here, we're 2 wide, a little bit back. Cooper Webster is getting involved with Charlie Collins. Jordan Caruso outside the top 8 at this moment. And I hear tyres screaming. Somebody's dropping down the order. It's Cooper Webster dropping down the timing sheet.
It was on the entry to the Porsche curves. He was on the outside. I think we could put 2 and 2 together and think a little bit of contact as Webster spools himself back up to speed. It gets Caruso back up into the top 8 as well. Crucial for the invert come the main event, of course, but it's at this front where Sebastian Job was not willing to run in line. He wanted to take it 3 wide. First Sanchez backed out, then Pinto backed out, and Job took the point, allowing Biko to have an opportunity. This is what we're going to be looking over for the next 2 laps, Paul, is opportunities presented, and those behind trying to take further advantage of them.
Don't forget, Job, a race winner here last year, so he knows what it takes to win at this venue. And the Oracle Red Bull Racing eSports driver at the head of your field, with Pinto there second, Sanchez third. Sanchez was so good last time out at Nürburgring in that sprint race. He'll be looking to try and get another race win here today. Zach Campbell, fourth place right now. I don't think that's going to be good enough for him in terms of his championship. Here's what happened to Cooper Webster then, and you're right, it's into the Porsche curves, and that's Charlie Collins. Just get a little bit loose, did Collins, on the inside there.
I don't think that's the only bit of contact that Collins has been involved with. When Sam Coitert went off the road, I got very worried about Charlie Collins jinking to the inside at the slowest corner of the track and taking it almost 3 wide. Would be curious if Collins got tangled up in that one, but it's not been the easiest season for Collins overall, and we expected him to come in trying to atone for the mistake at the Nordschleife. I don't think that's the type of atonement he's looking for.
No, he wants a good one, that is for sure. But this queue of traffic, it looks like the holiday traffic heading down the Mulsanne Straight here, and Job Pinto's trying to get out of the draft. Job goes, no, you feel free to have a draft, as they head into that second chicane. But it's a long queue of traffic there. Caruso in 8th place though right now. He'll be comfortable with that, I think, because if he stays there, if he manages to stay there, it's easier said than done. That gets him pole position for the main race.
Which is where more points get paid out as well. So as much as Job wants to lead right now, it's going to put him in a situation where he's going to have to fight his way to the front. But look at them fanning themselves out on the run to the end of the Mulsanne. It's what we expect, is the ability to fight your way on forward. Campbell's now going to be faced on the outside with Biko trying to look inside. But as always, Jordan Caruso, it's early in the morning for him, so you might be forgiven for thinking he was asleep. But no, he's just calm, cool, and collected, heading down in towards Indianapolis.
And this is how we've seen him all season, isn't it? We've not seen him get flustered at all. He's been very calm and methodical. It was the great racing driver Jackie Stewart who said that if you want to be successful, you need to take the emotion out of your racing, and that's exactly how Jordan Caruso is doing so. And well, a couple of days after the anniversary of the passing of the great Jack Brabham, the young Australian is doing his country proud here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. There's your live championship standings. That coming into this round, Caruso was 78 points clear. It's, as things stand right now, 61 points, is the gap between him and Job. 70 points between him and Zach Campbell.
Remember that points are paid out in qualifying at the very top as well, so there is incentive to be quick in go fast time. Caruso felt the need to look to the inside of Johan Hart. He's gotten up into 7th. Charlie Collins, I think, also may have gotten past one of those Stormforce racing machines at the slowest corner in the track. So this is one of those races where, with this many cars in a line, and we are all indeed in one big line, including Cooper Webster, who's launched onto the back of the 29-car choo-choo train. You can force a move anywhere. You don't get much time to make it happen, though. We're on to the final lap of the race, this time by.
Yeah, this sprint race just flies by in this sprint race as across the line they go once again. So Job at the front. Dylan needs to just make some adjustments to his car as he comes into that first corner once again. Lift off the throttle onto the brakes for the chicane. Look at how much force Job is having to put through that steering wheel. It just shows how fit these top esports athletes have to be in sim racing. And people might think, well, you just sat behind a gaming wheel and just sat in your living room. That's not the case here. You are putting in some physical force, especially with these high-end racing wheels that these drivers will be using. But heading down the Mulsanne Straight for the final time here in this sprint race, Pinto half a second back. He will still be feeling that draft though as they move up towards the first chicane here, Arjuna. We've got racing for the lead, we've got racing for 17th is looking a bit intense as well for Max Benneker.
It's two red and black machines. At least this one leads to a relatively easy to identify Baneka alongside with Koiter as he tries to scramble his way back up through the field. Koiter's going to try and tuck back into line and, like I say, slingshot off of these corners using the draft, but it's easier said than done on the Mulsanne. It's traditionally, like I said, on that run to Indianapolis where we see it. Now, we are seeing the gamesmanship at the front of the field, though, as Pinto tries to break the draft. He doesn't want to get past Sebastian Job just yet. He wants to wait and maybe leave that move a little bit later, because if you're leading, you're punching the hole in the air. You're the sitting duck for those behind.
As they come through the exit of that second chicane then to Pinto, it's all about timing your run. And you're absolutely right there, Arjuna. We've called races here time and again, and it is all about that timing. When do you make that run? And it's down towards Indianapolis is the famous moves that can be made here in the Porsche Tagore eSports Supercup. Here we're on board with Zach Campbell, young man from Georgia, to the inside of Mulsanne corner. That's going to compromise both him and Alejandro Sanchez. Job starting to weave. He's got to be careful with that. He can't weave too much, or else he's going to get into trouble with the series organisers. Meanwhile, Campbell, Beaker, there's also Charlie Collins involved in this as well. Together, we've got moves for the front as well, because Pinto trying to get to the head of the field with Sebastian Job alongside him into Indianapolis. Who's the last of the late breakers? Well, it appears it's Pinto. Job, though, trying to get the cutback, and Sanchez rockets up to the back of these two. It's the three-car race for the lead right now. All about the run. Out of Arnage corner, heading towards the Porsche curves for the final time here in the sprint race. And again, a little bit of weaving here from Pinto at the front. Job, he has to commit to a side. He's gone to the outside of the Porsche curves entry here. Sanchez is looking. Job chops his nose off. He doesn't want him getting involved here. Side by side through the Porsche curves. You normally can't do this, but great respectful driving between the two of them. Job back to the head of your field. Pinto is running out of corners here to get a race win here. But my goodness, what tremendous effort from the both of them at the front of the field. Sanchez, he's in third place. He's not going to move forward here unless he makes a lunge. Sebastian Job, though, just has to keep it mistake-free. Through the final chicane he goes. Through the left, through the right. It's a left and a right again. Clatter over the curbs. And Sebastian Job, he takes the race win here in the sprint race of the Porsche Tagore eSports Supercup. Wow, Arjuna. Tremendous racing between Job and Pinto, and great respect shown between the two as well.
Joe keeps his championship hopes alive, and Diogo Pinto misses out on the race victory, but proves to us he's got the speed.
It is Job from Pinto then, with Sanchez in third. Zach Campbell and Charlie Collins are two teammates, fourth and fifth, ahead of Alessandro Beaker. Jordan Caruso, seventh, crucially starting on the front row for the second main race, but it's Johan Harth who's going to be starting on pole position in the main race. Salvatore Talens and Lasse Bach round out the top 10. Sarika Kita, Bryn Collins and Stuckbeck, with Jamie Fluke, Oscar Irine, Benica, Kaita Nesov, and then in 20th place it was, Arjuna, you've got our race winner.
Sebastian Job, a race winner once again, and Seb, you keep your championship hopes alive for the time being, but now you've got to fight your way up from A. How do you fancy your chances?
To be honest, I felt really good that race, pace-wise. So I fancy my chances a little bit, but I know that my straight line speed isn't the best, so we'll see. I'm not sure what other people are running though. But yeah, I felt like I had good pace, especially in the Porsche curves. So if I can just get right onto the back of someone, do a little bit of ascent, then hopefully I can slowly make my way forward.
So interesting. You're not running minimum downforce. You've got something to try and make it a little bit better through the corners.
No, I think everyone's running minimum downforce. It's other parts of the setup where you can get a bit of top speed, which I won't go into.
I tried.
Yeah, but everyone is running minimum wing, so.
Still one race to go, Sebastian. Congratulations on the victory. We'll see you in that main race.
Thank you.
And so as we wrap up with the sprint race, move our attention over to the main race, here's how the points are looking, Paul.
Yeah, 61 points between Caruso and Job. That is still on, is that championship. It's still on. You never write this one off yet here in the Porsche Tagore eSports Supercup. Zach Campbell in third place now has got a bit of a lead, 32 points clear of Alejandro Sanchez going into this main race here. Pinto in fifth ahead of Charlie Collins, Biko and Johan Harf, Webster and Sarika. The race for the top 15, it's now just 10 points between Lasse Bach and Oscar Rine. A really good result for Lasse Bach, finishing in the top 10 of that opening race, Arjuna.
Absolutely, and we'll grab a look at some of the highlights, of course, starting with the flyby, as you must here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. The start was interesting. Don't forget to learn more about everything, standing, schedule, iRacing.com/PES, including more information about some of these drivers like Sebastian Job, a former series champion who did not want to hang around. Yes, Diogo Pinto got a great launch away from the line, but as we cycled out of Tetraroos, the draft is what saw Job rise his way to the front.
Yeah, he certainly did. It was a really good, gutsy move around the outside. That's what happened to Cooper Webster between him and Charlie Collins that dropped Cooper Webster all the way down to the back of the field. But it was that close race at the front. Pinto was looking dangerous, and he did make a move on the last lap of the race. But Job, well, he showed why he is a former champion and why he is the winningest driver here in championship history. You saw how close it was further back as well with Biko and Etel, but it was Sebastian Job who took the win here in the opening race, the sprint race of the Porsche Tagore eSports Supercup, round number 9 from the Circuit de la Sarthe. Paul Smith, Arjuna Kankapati here for your coverage, and well, Arjuna, we've got a main race to look forward to, twice the length. These drivers are going to be pushing all the way to the end, because one thing they don't really need to worry about here, unlike last time at the Nürburgring, is tyres.
No, we're not worried about tyres, but again, this is about positioning your car correctly, right? And making sure that you're not in the wrong place at the wrong time. You might not always get caught up in your own accident. It might be someone else's incident, and so we saw one instance of 3 wide. We didn't see too much more of that, but that was, I think, because a lot of drivers were focused on the top 8. Now we take those gloves off. There's nothing left after this other than a trip to Monza. And for some drivers, the chance to lock themselves into the top 15. For plenty, though, they'll be just fighting for bragging rights. I think from here to the end, hopefully, it's gloves off.
Yeah, certainly we're going to be seeing some tremendous action. And we've been seeing, we were talking about this pre-event here, Arjuna. The rookies, they've been really sort of hit and miss of how things have gone, as we see our drivers, or a selection of our drivers here competing here today. But the rookies, it seems that they've been able to get 1, maybe 2 good rounds of the championship, but they've not been able to keep that consistency like those who have got multiple years of experience.
It's the second season syndrome, right? That sometimes you come in, you're a little bit more settled after the nerves in the first season. Yes, you've been on the road to the World Championship, but being in the World Championship is a very different kettle of fish once you're fighting for the prize money, once you've got the pressure of expectation as well, but we're ready to go for 6 laps.
So it is Harf and Caruso on the front row of the grid, with Biko and Charlie Collins on row number 2. Zach Campbell and Alejandro Sanchez share row number 3. Fourth row of the grid is the front 2 from the sprint race, Pinto and Job, and then they start where they finish. Salvatore and Lasse Bach on row number 5, with Marina Sarika and Luca Kita on row number 6. 7th row of the grid for Bryn Collins and Matthias Stuckbeck, with Jamie Fluke and Oscar Rine on row number 8. Row 9 for Max Benneker and Sam Kaito. 10th row of the grid for Alexei Nesov and Oscar Mangan. Quentin Violette on row number 11 with Christopher Dambitz. Julian Sonin and Thomas Tetela on row number 12. And then the final few rows of the grid here for this main race. Kevin Nielsen, Bobby Zelensky, Gustavo Ariel, Cooper Webster and Simone Marina, oh my goodness. It's been one of those days today. Maria Marcheno. Get the teeth in, Paul. But as we get the flyby from the Air Force, Arjuna, we've got about 3/4 of a minute here. it's all about a good launch and just trying to get yourself into a pack where you can be moving forward.
We saw that effectively the choo-choo train ran all 29 cars in that first race. That included Cooper Webster, who had his incident through the Porsche curves. It means if you are in trouble, you're not totally out of it, you're going to have to fight your way back forward to the front, yes, which is why Sebastian Jobe was so willing to work his way to the front and grab the sprint race victory, because from 8th, he thinks anything is possible.
Well, we are getting ourselves set for this main race here at the penultimate round of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Drivers will pay their attention to the starters gantry, the revs rise. We are green flag racing here at Le Mans. And it's a good start from Johan Harf on the front row of the grid. Alessandro Bica is trying to force his way through towards the front of the field. It's a tremendous launch for the Williams eSports driver. Bica to the head of your field as we head on into the first chicane. As they go through 2x2, even 3 wide a little bit further back. But out of turn number 1, and we've got carnage, and it's Bryn Collins has been turned, and there's all sorts of cars around. Kiter, Nessoff, they're off. Well, second place now is Johan Harf, who's, wow, look at the gap that Bico has got. We've got a car off behind there. Is that Pinto? I think it is. Well held from Pinto to hold on to that one, to keep it off of the wall there. But my goodness, Arjuna, the opening of this race has seen carnage and chaos.
Yeah, that was a close moment for our defending champion, who slides down to 14th, but at least stays on the track after not just Sam Koiter, but Alexei Nessoff, 2 of the Urano eSports cars, directly headed back to pit lane. What a start from Alessandro Bico, who is showing that second season syndrome might be a real thing. He breaks away at the front, no real battle inside of the top 10. You go behind them to where there's a couple of side-by-side moments, the likes of Sarika, Rene, Stuckback, Pinto, all getting involved in plenty of fighting.
If you're Caruso, you're happy with 3rd place right now because you're ahead of your championship contenders. Job up to 6th place through all of that action, but Bico has got a 2nd clear, but he's giving all these drivers a nice slipstream. They won't get right up to his tail out down the Mulsanne straight, but certainly they will slowly be reeling him in with that slipstream down these high-speed sections. It's Harf 2nd ahead of Caruso, who's looking to try and get past Harf, but we'll have a look at what happened at the start there, Arjuna, because it was chaos out of the chicane.
So driver just trying to avoid getting to the inside and potentially cutting the curve, but Bryn Collins just loses it on power down, and one Urano eSports car spun in sympathy. The other one was pinched on the outside and couldn't really do much. Here's what happened though to Pinto as he just tried to send it around the outside as, not sure which Coanda car that it was, might have been Zach Campbell or Charlie Collins, got very, very sideways, just about hung on to it, and Pinto's the one that bore the brunt of being shoved off to the grass.
As we go back to live pictures then, it is the race for 2nd place between Harf and Caruso. You got Charlie Collins there as well, spoiling for a race here. And Alejandro Sanchez, he's loitering with intent. Sebastian Jobe, our sprint race winner, not that far behind either, with Salvatellans and Zach Campbell getting dragged along. And as we saw in race number 1, there is a long queue of cars, top 20 all together, all covered by about 7, maybe 8 seconds, those top 20. So that's just showing how close this field is out there right now. But Bico, great launch from the start there and made the most of it. Harf now just settling in, slowly reeling in Bico. This is a long race now, 6 laps, double the length of race number 1. But Arjuna, it's, if you're Caruso, really, you just want to be scoring some good points here. You don't necessarily have to push for a win.
And that's what we've seen from him over the course of the season, right, is the fact that, yes, he's been quick in qualifying, 2 pole positions. Yes, he's grabbed race victories here and there, but it's just the fact that he's been consistently up in the front, being able to stay out of trouble as well, which in a series like this is very difficult to do. It's been a very smooth season overall. Yes, the Nordschleife was maybe not too kind to our championship leader, but you're right, scoring points will be good. Do you want to speculate on something, Paul? Sebastian Job was saying that he's done something to his setup to make it better in the corners, maybe a little less good in a straight line. Just wondering if that's the suspension and how it's gripping the ground, because a lot of the time if you want to be fast in a straight line, you want a stiffer platform as possible, so you're not disturbing the aero platform of the car at speed. If you take out a little bit of that, you make it a bit softer, yes, you'll slow the car down in a straight line, might be a bit more compliant through the corners and be willing to work with you. Just something that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I was sort of sat here wondering what sort of he's done to his setup. Thomas Tetteler and Gustavo Ariel then 16th and 17th places. Not the best of opening races for them, but here in the second race they're doing a little bit better. 8 places gained by Tetteler, 10 places gained by Ariel. Remember, it's the top 25 who score points in this race here today, so in the second race of the day, should I say. So they're on for some points. Christopher Dan Bitts has just taken a tour back to pit road, so something's happened to Dan Bitts. It's not been his season at all after returning to the championship after missing for at least a year, but yeah, it's not been a good season for Christopher, but he's been helping a very young team, hasn't he? He's really been helping that Fire Simsport team in the series.
Yeah, but unfortunately it seems like all 4 of them will be knocked back a rung, sitting outside the top 15 in points. Lasserbach was the one that I thought maybe had the most potential out of the rookie class in the Fire Simsport camp to show some speed. Spa was good to him, but outside of a good run at the Hockenheim ring, he's been subjected to the more brutal side of the series on occasion. For Fire, it's going to be interesting to see how they fare as well in terms of next week and how aggressive they choose to fight if it's only Lasserbach in contention. Here's a look at the points again, though, with Caruso sitting up in third. Like you were saying, just accumulating points, he'd be 70 clear of Joe.
And remember, for a race weekend, it is a maximum of 85 points that you can accumulate. That's if you get pole position, if you get a sprint race win, and you get a main race win. Johan Haaf to the outside as we head towards Indianapolis. Jordan Caruso, he thought about it, but then backed out and decided better of it. Sanchez to the inside of Charlie Collins as well. So those two together in towards Hanaj. Just a little bit of a touch there between Charlie Collins and Sanchez, and that compromises Sanchez. Here's this chance for Sebastian Job into the Porsche curves.
I'm interested how many drivers seem to think Arnage is a passing opportunity, because Zach Campbell got past Sal Vitalin's there. Maybe it's just the slowest point on the track, and it's where you can be the most aggressive. Job trying to jink to the inside of Sanchez, who was having none of it, and holds the spot in towards the Porsche curves. But Job's going to try and set him up on exit to get it done before we finish this lap up.
I've seen aggressive defensive moves. That is about as far as you can get away with. Sanchez compromised mid-corner through the latter part of the Porsche curves, but Arjuna, how many times have we seen an aggressive move like that backfire and then ended up that driver defending, turning himself off the front of the car he was trying to block?
I think it's a move that you only throw if you actually trust the car behind to get the message, which is not now, let's hold station and try and close a little bit up to those cars in front, because there's still plenty of racing to go. Job and Sanchez, after last week's miscommunication, Alejandro Sanchez making that mistake that tangled both Moreno Sorica and Sebastian Job, that's not necessarily a move I would have, given advice that was worth throwing, but he was definitely willing to throw it.
There you see the two leaders of Haaf and Beaker at the front. Of course, Johan Haaf, he's been one that's not had many victories in the series. In fact, when I look at my stats, he hasn't had any victories in the series. So he is somebody who you feel he's been one of those drivers who's been around not every season, but he's been around the championship a long time. It's one of those that really owes us a race win here.
it's one of those drivers like Bobby Zelensky that can kind of do it all right. We've seen Johan in the now returning iRacing Grand Prix Championship Series, as it was leaked on the iRacing Downshift podcast. Will be interesting to see if Johan tries to qualify for that again. Over the top, though, we look on board with Charlie Collins, who is going to get past Jordan Caruso, who shed some points in the championship equation. The margin back to Job brought down, albeit slightly, and now Job just that touch closer to Caruso as well. It's only 3 points, yes. I think the more significant thing is the fact that there is now only Sanchez that splits Caruso from Job.
And we've seen how aggressive Sanchez has been here in this race so far. Don't think that he won't be looking to make some moves forward in this one as well. So, this could be an opportunity for Job to get, well, in and around Caruso, and he'd want to get ahead of him just to really start cutting into those points as well. As we head on out of that second chicane, and still half at the front. Those Stormforce cars have been really quite close in terms of speed, as Biko to the inside of Mulsanne corner as they go too wide into that one at the front. But it's not just at the head of the championship which we're focusing, Arjuna, is it? Because that top 15, that is crucial for getting you a guaranteed slot next year.
Max Benecca's not had a great day, and so now he's right back onto the bubble. Just 8 points separated from Lasse back in the top 15 mix. Behind, you've also got that 40 machine of Julian Sonnen for RHG as they try to hold one car in the series. So much left to play for. 2 wide, 2 rows deep, in towards Indianapolis once again. Biko with the shove from Charlie Collins, and Biko slots in front of Johan Hart. There's another swap around for the lead, switches around. 4 laps to go doesn't sound like a lot of racing, but we've got to remember how long the laps are and that every corner is realistically a passing opportunity.
Yeah, it certainly is. And these drivers, they have plenty of opportunities, and it's a really sort of tense fight at the front of the field right now, and you can almost cut the there was a great cricket commentator who used to say you used to be able to cut the atmosphere with a cricket stump. So it really is quite tense up there. Pinto on his recovery drive is now just down 3 places from where he started, up into 10th place. Jamie Fluke is dropping down the timing screen, so something's happened to Jamie, the Northern Irishman, and he's somebody who's been ever present in this championship, but it's looking increasingly more and more difficult. He's in that sort of bubble region, isn't he, to stay in the championship?
And Jamie has had a tough season. He's also going through a bit of a tough time right now, so our thoughts are with him as he goes through this. He's still having to compete as well, and so that's only dropped him down to 20th, so he's still going to be able to potentially fight his way back forward with 3 laps in the books and 3 laps left to run.
Yeah, halfway in this race then, it is Biko from half. Charlie Collins in 3rd place after that move on Jordan Caruso, dropping Caruso down to 4th place. Alejandro Sanchez in 5th ahead of our sprint race winner Sebastian Job in 6th. Zach Campbell 7th ahead of Salva Talons. Luca Kita and Diogo Pinto rounding out the top 10. And Kevin Nielsen, well, he's been racing and scrambling to get 11th place off of Marina Sarica. Those two have swapped places, so 11th and 12th places. But let's give you a little bit of the sights and sounds of everything going on with our Buzz Full Throttle. Well, it is a Jordan Caruso sandwich there between the two Stormforce cars. Caruso's trying to move himself forward. Sanchez is as well, and Sebastian Job is getting himself involved in this little tussle. Oh, it's a wide line there from Sanchez. Zach Campbell trying to take advantage of all of that happening in front as well. But Arjuna, the guys at the front here are just starting to sort of position themselves out there, trying to get themselves in the right place at the right time.
So Job trying to really V it off the corner and get onto the power nice and early. Once again, though, he's going to be slightly blocked by Sanchez, who fades him to the outside, knowing it's going to take a bit of bravery to really make this one stick. I think Charlie Collins might be fighting with Alessandro Pico as well. In fact, has gotten through for the time being. You do get the sense, though, that they're all jockeying now. We've got some separation. 10 cars splitting away from those behind. Salva Talons with a major send in towards Arnage. That's going to check up those at the very back of this gaggle. Everyone's going for everything now.
This feels like a breakaway at the front of a bike race here, and people just trying to position themselves in that draft, in that slipstream, as Biko now takes advantage. Collins was compromised through Arnage, and that just allows Biko to get back to the head of the field. As we go through this spectacular section of the Porsche curves. These drivers, well, they are just so millimeter perfect every time. The level of competition here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup is absolutely sensational. Some of the best sim racers in the world of sim racing, but these drivers heading towards the start of the penultimate lap. To your Sebastian Job now, you're itching to move forward and get to Jordan Caruso, I feel.
I think so. Still just one car splits them, but for Job, he wants to make sure that there is as much of a chance as possible that in the final round at Monza, which is equally, maybe more chaotic in some ways than the Circuit de la Sarthe because of how many heavier braking zones that you have. Don't forget iRacing.com/PEST to learn more about the series, the standings, how to become a driver with the Roto World Championships not far away from beginning once again. Monza's with all of those slow chicanes, you do tend to see action, not just on lap one, but over the course of the race. And so I wonder if for Job, the target is, let's just get as close to Caruso as possible, try and win as much as possible, and hope that in Altus land, things go a little bit awry.
I mean, Caruso, throughout the season, I can only think of the contact that he had at the Red Bull Ring, and then not the best of rounds at the Nürburgring, but even then he finished in the top 10 in the main race, did Caruso last time out at the Nürburgring. So he's just, as you say, that consistency, that level of consistency, as Charlie Collins goes to the head and Johan Hath follows him through into second place. It's just been that consistency that's served him so well in this championship, whereas the other championship contenders have had some bad runs. I mean, Zach Campbell, you look back at it, you know, Manny Kaur going into Long Beach, it was just not a good round of the championship, as well as Circuit of the Americas.
Yes, and I think Zach Campbell after Magny Kaur basically thought his championship hopes were done and dusted, but looking after that, if he had had less bad luck, he could have been a little bit closer to Jordan Caruso, all things considered. Did see a big block by Fire Simsport, by the way, who run now 11th, 12th, and 13th, and hold a little bit of a gaggle behind with Ariel, Sarika, Tatalarine, Mangan, Fluke, and Sonnen. So you can see them working their way down the Mulsanne directly behind as well. But here we go, half back up to the inside as we've got 2 laps to go. Surely you want to make sure you're inside of this front four if you want to win this race at this point in time.
Yeah, you need to be up there at the front. There's Kita and there's Salva Talons then. Luca Kita at the 10th place. Had a really good sprint race last time out, don't forget. Got a podium at the Nürburgring. Salva Talons has shown sort of periods of speed. Don't forget that start that he got at the Nürburgring last time out in the main race, gaining 3 places in the opening 2 corners. He knows what he can do here in this championship, and that's what he's doing. Look at Job. Job's going around the outside there of Sanchez. That's going to be crucial, and Caruso's feeling the need to actually block off Job here.
And this, Joe for a moment I thought was going to be able to get off the corner well, but he spooled up those rear tires a bit too much, tucks back into line, and I'll be a little worried if Zach Campbell's going to really try and force some offense on him as they work to the Porsche curves. See the separation, just 1 moment of fighting, already 1 second opened up between 3rd and 4th position. Caruso inside, Sanchez outside, into the Porsche curves for the penultimate time, almost contact, and Sanchez is going to stay there.
Oh, Caruso's into the wall. That is big for your championship leader. Into the wall. He's keeping going here. He's dropped down to 9th place right now in this one. But Sanchez and Job's running wide there. He's made a mistake as Job. He's dropping back here to 9th place now. So something's happened to Sebastian as well. It must be a slowdown penalty, surely. My goodness. Well, drama here in this. Towards the end of this race, we've got 1 more lap to go here. Johan Harf and Charlie Collins, they're not paying attention to any of what's happening behind. And Job again running wide out of that final chicane. He's feeling the pressure here, now down to 10th place.
And now if you're Caruso, surely you've just got to hold on. He got away without damage, it seems like, on the Altus car. Let's take a look at that moment again and just see if Caruso did pick up any damage or not. Look on board with Sebastian Job in that Oracle Red Bull Racing eSports car as Sanchez commits, and it's bravery from the Stormforce Apex Racing team car as well. Now, I can't tell if there's contact there. It is a half hip check. Caruso does end up in the wall.
Now, it's, Job got into the back of Campbell. He had to back out of it there. And then he hit the grass on the exit of the Porsche curves. It wasn't a slowdown penalty. Look who's gone ahead, by the way. Diogo Pinto. What a recovery after almost ending up in the wall after the S's on lap number 1. He's back up to where he started. But at the front, it's 3 drivers. Johan Harf, Charlie Collins, and Alessandro Bico, all duking it out for the race win. There is your live championship standings as things stand right now. 62 points will be the gap between Caruso and Zach Campbell, because Sebastian Job will be 65 points behind now. All 3 of those within a perfect race win, race weekend. So the championship is still on here, but the race win is still on here for Charlie Collins, Johan Harf, and Alessandro Bico.
And for Johan Harf, the potential for his very first victory in the series. You were saying that he owes us one. For Charlie Collins, some redemption after what's been a couple of bad rounds, unfortunately, for him, and an opportunity to be back at the front. For Bico, he's come alive in his 2nd season, and I can guarantee you he is going to be looking to try and take it 3 wide. It's Harth on the outside, Collins on the inside, who goes deep in through Mulsanne as we work our way to Indianapolis for the final time.
Oh, that was a big contact between Harf and Collins. Harf drops back, Bico's got the run on them. Here comes Sanchez as well, Alejandro Sanchez trying to get involved in all of this. Harf to the outside, headed in towards Indianapolis. We're 3 wide. Well, this only ends one way, in my opinion, but we'll see how these drivers go. A little bit of a squeeze. Harf's to the front. Sanchez up into 2nd place. Incredible teamwork from the Stormforce outfit. Great stuff between the 2.
And it was the bump that actually enabled Harf to get clear, and Sanchez was then followed through. As Collins boxes out Bico slightly, can Kawanda try and do the same now as they try and get up, not to the lead, but only to 3rd and 4th. Harf is clear into the Porsche curves.
Harf, an aggressive but quick driver. He knows what it takes to compete at the highest level here in sim racing. He'll be hoping to get himself a race win here, finally, in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. He's got podiums under his belt. Caruso's dropping down! Caruso's dropping down the order on the timing screen! What on earth has happened to our championship leader? And he's out! He is out of this race! Oh, that is huge championship implications here! We'll have a look at that after the race, but at the front of the field here, It is Johan Half. There's the live points now. 41 and 42 points between your championship leader and third. But Johan Half, let's not take this away from him. The Frenchman, it's his first ever win here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Wow, what a dramatic finish to the race. 8th place for Sebastian Job in the end for him. Zach Campbell 5th. The two championship contenders were Caruso. Caruso, I don't think is moving at all. I don't think he's able to move.
I think he's going to...
That's massive.
I think he's going to be scored down in 25th position, which means I think he'll get a solitary point out of this main race. But after a season of staying out of trouble with the light at the end of the tunnel right there, we head into our Boast post-race show with the championship turned on its head.
Wow. We said he hadn't had a bad round. Well, this could be a sensational finish. But Johan Half, after all these years, finally gets himself a race win here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. His teammate Alejandro Sanchez is right there with him in second place. Charlie Collins rounds out your podium here with Alessandro Bico and Zach Campbell 4th and 5th places. Salva Talon's in 6th ahead of Diogo Pinto with a good recovery for him into 7th place. Sebastian Job, he finishes where he starts, but that does not tell all of his story here in this main race. Matthias Stuckbeck, great result for him, and the Fire eSports SimSport team with Kevin Nielsen as well with him. Lasse Bach rounding out in 11th place ahead of Gustavo Ariel. Marina Sarica, Thomas Tetela, Oscar Rinne ahead of Julian Sonnen, Oscar Mangan, Jeremy Flug, Luca Kita and Bryn Collins rounds out the top 20. Now Bobby Zelensky is still yet to cross the line, by the way, so this is provisional at the moment, as these points will always be provisional. Beneker is in 21st right now, as we look at how things stand right now and look at those championship points, Arjuna. 37 and 38 points difference. Sanchez is suddenly in with a shout of the championship still.
It's still Caruso's to lose. This is, again, provisional as well, because Race Control will take their look through what's been a tumultuous round at the Circuit de la Sarthe. But ultimately, Job, Campbell, Sanchez back in the hunt, heading to Monza.
Well, let's take a look. Let's try and unpackage everything that happened there at the end here. So this is going to be Sebastian Job and Luca Kita. This is the run down towards the Indianapolis section of the track. Oh, Job and Kita get together, and Caruso was involved in that one to start with. So Caruso, he had a heart-in-mouth moment. Kita ends up getting dumped off the side of the track there with that one. Now, let's look at what happened to Caruso.
And you'll notice that it is going to involve the Oracle Red Bull Racing eSports car as they head up to the Porsche curve. So as they go too wide, a couple of rows deep, Fira sits behind in their 3-car tandem. Joe pushes wide. Oh, there's a bit of air between the two of them. I wonder if Fire SimSport from behind also maybe got a bit of contact with the left rear of Caruso that really spun him around. But we'll take a look at the replays after we have a quick chat with some of the drivers. And so I think it's time, Paul, for us to finally talk to Johan Harth, who is not just a competitor in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. It's Johan Harth, race winner in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Johan, we were talking about this, I feel like it was just a couple of rounds ago, about how you've not had maybe as many podiums and victories as your speed sometimes should warrant. What came together today? Congratulations.
Oh, teamwork came together today, yeah. This one is just Alex only. I had no right to be P1 after the last lap, but luckily he was the one that did him, and he pushed me to victory. So yeah, thanks to him.
You went to the outside in towards Indianapolis with the shove from Alex. Were you guys talking on the radio and communicating, or how are you working through that situation?
All instinct. We were in a different channel, so yeah. I saw a gap on the outside, on the left of Alessandra, I think was in the middle, and yeah, I went where the space was, basically.
Well, congratulations, Johan. First victory, and I'm hoping not the last. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time to close out the season. We go to the teammate that gave the shove that led Johan Hart to victory lane. Alejandro Sanchez joins us now. Alejandro, second here today. Championship hopes kept alive. Johan's victorious. Sounds like a good day for the Stormforce Racing team.
Yeah, very happy for the team. We managed to finally have some good teamwork in the last lap. I was struggling the whole race with understeer, so quite happy to finally get close to the leading group in the last lap after some incidents around me. But yeah, super happy for Johan as well. It's his first win. And yeah, overall quite a solid points haul this weekend. So yeah, quite happy.
I'm going to ask about the championship situation. You're about 50-something points back. However, this season you've had 40 penalty points. What does that mean in the context of how you reflect on what's been a crazy season for you this far?
I mean, I've messed up sometimes, and I've been at the other end of the stick some other times, so I cannot really complain too much. It would be quite hypocrite of me. So yeah, not really gonna complain too much. I could have done better some stuff. I could have more luck, of course. But yeah, quite a solid season. Really happy with my qualifying performances so far, and yeah, we'll see what Monza prepares for us.
Love the honesty, Alejandro. We'll see you at Monza. Can't wait to see how the season ends up shaking up. One final interview before we wrap things up, though, and from the Stormforce Racing team, we go to another team that worked quite well together today. Charlie Collins and Zach Campbell were able to link up with one another and slightly push their way towards the front. And Charlie, after what was a disappointing round at the Nordschleife, you were able to put that in the past and get a podium here today.
Yeah, it feels like ages since I've been able to speak to you guys. So yeah, how's things? Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I think kind of coming to that last lap, I thought I was in a good position to go for the win, but just didn't play out. I think I maybe was a bit over aggressive. Yeah, it just didn't work out in my favor.
Give us a little bit of a preview heading into Monza, because with Jordan's incident on the final lap, championship's wide open. Zach's got a chance. Seb's got a chance. What should we expect at the Temple of Speed?
Drama. I mean, look, it's going to be a fun round. I mean, for me, I think it's also a bit more fun. I think, like you saw today, when I was behind Jordan, I was kind of being a bit aggressive because I knew he has to yield in those kind of situations where it's really close. So I think you'll see a lot of drama, you know, and for me, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest.
At least no pressure. You get to sign out the season in your own terms. Congratulations, Charlie, on the podium. We'll see you over at Monza.
Cheers, guys.
Always good to have a chat with the drivers, Paul, but Circuit de la Sarthe treated us well. Just one more race this season.
Well, let's just have a look then at that instant that could decide a championship. Let's be honest here. It's into the Porsche curves. I mean, you've got to be brave to try and make a move in there. Job is more desperate, and the question is, was the contact from behind from Caruso, or was it just that? Because we've got to remember, these drivers, they're racing across the world on the internet here, so there is always going to be an element of what's known as netcode there, so potentially we'll have to wait and see what the series officials have to say about that. But one thing we do know is that in 2 weeks' time we head to our championship finale at the Autodromo Nacional Monza, one of my favourite tracks in the whole world. And Arjuna, we've seen plenty of championships decided here at the Cathedral of Speed, as I like to call it. You call it a temple. Either way, it is such a historic venue.
I think technically it is dubbed the Temple of Speed, but it's a place where, like I said, with the heavy braking zones that we get, we know there's lap one drama. That's par for the course at Monza. It's after that we expect them to hopefully play things out a bit smarter. Charlie Collins brought up something really interesting. He's not too worried about any championship hope. He knows that Jordan Caruso's got to be that little bit more mindful. Knowing what we've had here at the end of this race, with potentially the fact that Caruso being in Australia contributed to that incident, how does that affect his mindset with a championship, a world championship on the line?
It'd be gutting for him to lose it in the final round, but you'll have to join us in 2 weeks' time to see who it is that takes the championship here. What an exciting way to finish this championship. Make sure you join us on the 3rd of June at Monza for the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. But from everybody here, it's goodbye for now.